On Wednesday, November 24th, 1971, at a Portland International Airport, a middle-aged man with a briefcase bought a one-way ticket to Seattle. It was a 30-minute flight with a small number of passengers and crew members. The man fit right in with these groups, and the plane left Portland without anyone noticing that there was a hijacker on board. Namaskar dosto, this is your host Abhishek. Welcome to Deep Dive.
In about 20 minutes.
The man identified himself as Dan Cooper, along with 36 passengers and 6 crew members. He boarded Northwest Airlines Flight 305. Before the plane took off, Cooper made himself comfortable in the middle of the last row of seats on the right side of the cabin. This was intentional. He ordered a bourbon and a soda. In those times, it was acceptable to smoke and drink in an airplane. Cooper smiled broadly as he walked up to Florence Schaffner, the air hostess, at around 3 p.m. and gave her a note. Inside the note, it's written that he had a bomb. Cooper told her that he had a bomb in his briefcase and asked her to sit next to him. He opened his briefcase and showed her 8 sticks of dynamite, surrounded by wires. Cooper's demands were simple. He wanted $200,000 in cash by 5 p.m. and he wanted all that cash in a bag along with 2 parachutes in back and front rows. He specifically demanded the money to be in the form of $20 bills. He also demanded a fuel truck to refuel the plane when they landed. If they failed to go by his demands, he threatens to blow up the plane. The other passengers were unaware of this, and Schaffner didn't want to alert the passengers, so she quietly went to the cockpit and showed the note to the pilots. In the meantime, another air hostess, Tina McLeod, sat by Cooper's side. With the help of these 2 air hostesses, the pilots were able to contact with Cooper. The aircraft touched down in Seattle and was taken to a secluded area of the tarmac. Both the ransom and the parachutes were handed to McLeod, and in exchange he allowed 2 flight attendants and all the passengers to leave the plane. With remaining 4 passengers, Cooper told McLeod to inform the captain that he wanted to fly to Mexico. He requested the plane to be below 10,000 feet and the wings 15 degrees and speed to be as slow as possible. Finally, he told Tina to go to the cockpit and lock the door. He took out his parachutes and prepared to dive. That was the last time Tina saw Cooper. Then they saw a warning light flashing, indicating that the rear door was open. 3 hours later, the flight safely landed in Reno, and there was no sign of Cooper nor his briefcase. It seems as if Cooper wore his parachutes, walked down the stairs, and dived off into the middle of the night. The FBI began their investigation. Unfortunately, they found no trace of Cooper. All they found was a black clip on tie, 8 cigarette butts, and 2 of the parachutes left by Cooper. The case was called NORJAC, standing for Northwest Hijacking, and this case lasted for decades, closing in 2016. Cooper was described by the crew members as white male in his 40s. He was dressed in a business suit, white shirt, black tie, brown shoes, and a black overcoat. He had a paper bag and a black briefcase with him. He also wore a pair of black glasses. The team had the idea that he jumped into the southwest of Washington state. There were lakes, pine forests, and canyons in the area. So in the beginning, the police believed that there is no chance for Cooper's survival. Moreover, he jumped from the height of 10,000 feet. The clothes he was wearing was not suitable for jumping, and the money weighed 10 kilos. In addition to this, he traveled at the speed of 320 km per hour. Armed with this information, the FBI requested a search party, using helicopters, airplanes, and ground troops to look for the location where Cooper is thought to have landed. They were looking for body, torn pieces of parachutes, and a $20 bill. However, they could not find a trace of Cooper nor the money he stole. The FBI turned their attention to the stolen $20 bills. These bills contained serial numbers noted down by the bank. The FBI spread the list of serial numbers throughout the country. From banks to casinos, the money has been collected from Seattle First National Bank, which shows that the money given to Cooper was documented. The FBI used many ways to make it difficult for Cooper to spend the stolen money. Many newspapers even began to offer rewards to find a note with a matching serial number. Unfortunately, no one ever came forward. A young boy discovered a rotten package containing $20 bills that matched the ransom serial number in 1980, 9 years after Cooper's escape. The boy discovered 3 bundles of $5,880 in cash while building a campfire with his father at Tina Bar. The boy discovered the bills on the beach. It was hypothesized that the money first fell on the Washougal River and then on its way to Tina Bar. However, there is no natural or scientific evidence on how the money floated to Tina Bar. Another theory was it was deliberately buried by DB Cooper 2 years after the hijack. After this discovery, there is no sign of Cooper nor the rest of the money. Rather than solving the issue, the discovery leads to further more questions that are still unanswered. Leads were tracked all over the country and more than 800 suspects were considered. Over the first 5 years of the investigation, all but 24 suspects were eliminated from the consideration. It's impossible to cover all of them are. So, allow me to pick notable suspects. He was an army veteran of the Vietnam War. 5 months after Cooper's hijack, he hijacked an airplane where he demanded for 4 parachutes and $500,000. He was arrested and sentenced to 45 years in prison. Public believed him to be Cooper, and this was his second attempt. When asked whether he was DB Cooper, he neither admitted nor denied it. Army veteran of Vietnam War, master skydiver, and a convicted felon, he was considered to be one of America's best parachutists. Braddock's connection to the case stems from a tip provided to the FBI by a woman who claimed that Braden had made statements suggesting that he was involved in the hijacking. However, further investigation did not yield any concrete evidence linking Braden to the crime. Gossett was a retired Army paratrooper and a veteran of World War II and the Korean War. The investigation was sparked by a tip from a former acquaintance of Gossett's, who claimed that Gossett had made statements suggesting that he was involved in the hijacking. Despite numerous investigations and tips over the years, the true identity of DB Cooper remains unknown. DB Cooper's daring heist has become legendary, inspiring numerous books, films, and documentaries. The case continues to fascinate the public, and Cooper's true identity remains one of the greatest mysteries in American history.